protesters are fast-moving.
Unlike other big rallies,
Bit earlier at about 7 a.m., a group from the Coast Guard.
Welcome to #PH Vote 2013.
Today on Rappler, the damage from Typhoon Yolanda, international name Haiyan, reaches the 10 billion peso mark. The death toll climbs to 3,976. The Energy Secretary vows to resign if power is not restored to typhoon-ravaged areas by Christmas.
Iinsultuhin pa ba natin yung mga namatay? At sasabihin natin namatay kayo dahil hindi kayo handa?
And the Tacloban City Mayor says President Aquino insults the victims of Yolanda. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. It is day 10, more than a week after Typhoon Yolanda, international name Haiyan, ripped through central Philippines. Deadly storm surges and monster winds flattened entire towns and plunged provinces off the grid. But help really only started to reach survivors after more than 5 days. As of Monday, the official death toll climbs to 3,976. The storm also caused at least 10.38 billion pesos worth of damage to agriculture and infrastructure. Thousands of survivors leave the devastated provinces of Samar and Leyte. Thousands arrive in Manila and Cebu, while others go to surrounding provinces not as affected by the storm. Leyte and eastern Samar suffered the brunt of the typhoon after storm surges of up to 6 meters high hit those provinces and washed away homes. Several countries and international groups send help to the survivors, much needed food, clothing, medicine, and the manpower to deliver all of these to affected areas. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRIMC, says 23 foreign medical teams are helping in relief efforts. It took 9 days, but all 40 municipalities of Leyte now have access to relief supplies. In a press release Sunday, Interior Secretary Mar Rojas says local officials in the towns of Hilongos and Palompon reached the government's logistics hub in Ormoc. After the typhoon, the Aquino administration came under fire for the slow delivery of relief services. As relief goods poured in, the delivery of food supplies started speeding up Saturday, day 8 of the calamity. On Sunday, local officials say the water supply in Tacloban City is now, quote, back to normal. Logistics hubs in Tacloban and Ormoc also distribute more than 140,000 food packs. Each food pack is designed to last for 2 to 3 days for a family of 5. In Leyte, food and other supplies are either picked up by local officials or delivered to evacuation centers. But in remote communities, supplies are delivered by helicopter. On the island of Homonhon in eastern Samar, residents wait as U.S. troops unload water supplies from a helicopter that flew off the USS George Washington aircraft carrier. In many villages, there's no space to land. Helicopters are forced to hover low and drop the cartons to residents. Although much-needed aid finally arrives, the United Nations says an estimated 2.5 million people still need food. An estimated 4 million people are displaced. Only 350,000 are sheltered in evacuation centers. Energy Secretary Jericho Petilla promises to restore power in typhoon-ravaged areas by Christmas Eve. If not, he says he will resign. On Monday, Petilla says the government will do all it can to restore power in areas devastated by the typhoon. He admits December 24th is a, quote, very tight target, but says he's betting his position on it so typhoon survivors won't have a, quote, a dark Christmas. Petilla adds, the first sign of hope is always electricity. We will persevere to give them that. But he clarifies the December 24 target doesn't cover remote barangays, which will take more time. Petilla earlier said full restoration of power would take about 2 to 6 months. The National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, or NGCP, says 566 transmission towers and poles and 7 substations are damaged. NGCP spokesperson Cynthia Perez Alabanza earlier said fixing the transmission backbone and main lines of the grid will take up to 6 weeks. Joining us now for more updates is Rappler's Paterno Esmaquiel from Tacloban City. Paterno?
Maria, the arrival of the president in Tacloban City on Sunday changed the mood here in this typhoon-ravaged town. The president criticized the response of certain cities like Tacloban to disaster. And the mayor of Tacloban, Alfred Romualdez, who comes from the Aquino's rival family, shot back. Here's what we found.
A city left in ruins by a killer typhoon, caught in a clash between leaders from rival families. President Benigno Aquino says Tacloban City failed to prepare for Yolanda as much as other areas. He adds, this makes him angry.
Sa ibang lugar parang hindi nila ako magsasalita dahil bilang Pangulo nyo, bawal ako magalit. Maski na gano'ng inis ko, daanin ko na lang sa asim na sikmo. Pag sinabi sa iyo, ito dadaanan, ano pa ba gagawin mo? Ibig sa makinig, at kumilos. Pero, sa akin na lang ho yun.
Aquino says the second-class town of Giwan did better than Tacloban. Preparation spells the difference. Disaster officials say at least 0.31% of Tacloban residents died due to Yolanda. In Giwan, only 0.21% lost their lives. But Tacloban City Mayor Alfred Romualdez says the president insults the dead.
Siguro masasabi ko ang Metro Manila handa sa Yolanda dahil hindi sila tinamaan. Pero kami, sino magsasabi na handa? I mean, ayoko na patulan yan. Basta sasabihin natin iinsultuhin pa ba natin yung mga namatay? At sasabihin natin namatay kayo dahil hindi kayo handa.
Romualdez adds the national government should revamp its response to disasters.
I think it's about time. This country is always hit by disasters. It's about time if they have to set up 1 battalion of rescuers on standby. They're needed. We've been hit constantly. And we always rely on local rescuers here, rescuers there, but we don't really have yet a template or a command that has people with more than 1,000 people, rescuers, equipment and all that, and they're experts in this.
Local governments, after all, can't handle disasters alone.
Maria, today, President Aquino continued making rounds in Palo, Leyte, and Tacloban, Leyte to distribute relief goods and supervise relief efforts. The Tacloban mayor also continued coordinating with aid workers, supervising efforts, and he also appealed for help from national government. He asked the central bank, for example, to order banks to open to facilitate financial transactions here. He also asked the Supreme Court to help rebuild the regional trial courts. The Tacloban mayor says it's not just time to clean up, but to rebuild the city. Maria.
Paterno, it is the first day of a new week, 10 days after this disaster struck. How would you describe the mood of Tacloban today?
Maria, more aid has come and more basic services have been improved here in Tacloban, but still many services are still paralyzed. There's still no electricity. There's still a lack of aid in many communities, Maria. And well, a while ago here in our tent, a child with asthma actually approached us to have himself nebulized because there's no electricity at home and his health is suffering. And this actually depicts the situation here in Tacloban, Maria. People are suffering because of the lack of basic services a week after Yolanda.
So, Paterno, in your report, you talked about something we've long known, a kind of friction between national and local governments. How do you see this playing out now in Tacloban?
Maria, it's apparent between the two leaders that there's a clash of words between them. But the two leaders are saying politics or the family feud is not at play in this relief effort, and people here are actually wishing that the family feud is not involved really in this relief effort, because what's at stake is the lives of of thousands of Tacloban residents, Maria.
Wonderful. Okay, Paterno, we'll be in touch with you and keep us updated on what's going on. More than a week after Typhoon Yolanda hit the Visayas, those who live in V and G subdivision in Tacloban City unite to protect each other and restore order in their community. Bea Cupin is also in Tacloban City. Here is her report.
After Yolanda struck Tacloban, the exodus followed. But not everyone is leaving. Some chose to stay. Residents of a subdivision in Tacloban begin to sort through the debris and damage and bring normalcy back to their lives. But Zenaida Arroyo, who lives on land owned by a bank, admits she still doesn't feel safe.
Natatakot, labi na pag nabalita na mayroong mga tulisan na pumapasok dito. Natatakot kami. Lalo na yung malalaking bahay yung inaakyat. Sa kalagayan namin dito, hindi talaga kami safe. Kasi pag yung masamang tao, walang pinipili yan. Pag masama na yung pumapasok sa utak nila.
Days after the storm, police and military told residents to set up their own patrols in the village. Residents set up posts per street and screened vehicles that came in and out of the subdivision. Another resident, Yun Ariola, says he considers Tacloban too risky for his grandmother, wife, and 3-year-old son. They are all now in Manila.
Expected kasi talaga namin na pag may ganun magbagyo tas laging brownout, mayroon talagang magnanakaw. What made it worse is yung mga balita na meron daw magraransak. May intelligence daw sila na parang atakihin yung community, magnanakaw, yung ganun. So yun, natakot kami, and then security-wise talaga, nakakatakot.
At the Tacloban airport, people beg, threaten, or wait patiently. Those who could afford take commercial flights out, while those who can't line up to board C-130 cargo planes. Many took a bus out of the Visayas. Zenaida says even if she wanted to leave Tacloban, she can't.
Isa naman kami pupunta. Wala naman kami pupuntahan. Mahirap naman kami. Siguro sa mga mayayaman, takot sila. Okay lang sila kahit pumunta sa malayong lugar, marami naman silang pera. So tulad namin na lang.
But the residents who stayed behind helped each other through the nightmare.
Yung mga cousins ko who are even younger than me, sila pa nga yung nagtetend doon sa barricade. Sila yung nagbabantay doon.
Zenaida and her family will stay in Tacloban. But Yunus says their family will return to Tacloban City soon. The city they will always call home.
Tacloban has been good to us naman ever since, and then syempre mayroon talagang challenges. This is one of it, and we believe na kaya pa naman natin makabangon.
Bea Cupin, Rappler, Tacloban City.
Responding to calls for transparency, the government launches an online tracker of humanitarian aid from international organizations. The Foreign Aid Transparency Hub, or FAITH, is an online portal of information on calamity aid and assistance that tracks aid coursed through Philippine government agencies like the Social Welfare Department and the Office of Civil Defense. It excludes aid given directly to other groups or organizations. As of Monday, total foreign aid pledged stands at 11.65 billion pesos or 271 million pesos. The website can be accessed at www.gov.ph/faith. If you want a full list of all of the donations, you can also see this on Rappler.com. Relief drives are still ongoing to help survivors of the typhoon. They need more food and supplies like rice, water, canned goods, clothes, toiletries, and medicines. If you are abroad, there are community-driven relief efforts in places like Singapore, the US, the UK, Spain, and Australia. These are just a few of the countries that are giving aid and relief efforts. Rappler is compiling, you're seeing it's here, and updating a list of relief efforts for the typhoon victims. Take a look at Rappler's list to see how you can help. Every little action counts. The destruction from the super typhoon prompts Filipinos all over the world to help survivors. In Hong Kong, the 180,000-strong Filipino community hold relief operations and raise funds to send back to the Philippines. Natasha Gutierrez files this video blog from Hong Kong.
Across the ocean here in Hong Kong, thousands of overseas Filipino workers also grieve the devastation left by Typhoon Yolanda. They too do what they can to help their fellow countrymen rise up and start anew. Hong Kong has a Filipino population of 180,000. As soon as reports of the storm's aftermath came in, they mobilized, shocked by the massive damage brought by the super typhoon. Donation call-outs are plenty, with communities working together to repack relief goods. At St. Joseph's Church, volunteers packed 187 boxes of food, milk, and clothes in just one day.
Kahapon po ay nagko-connect po kami ng mga donation, lahat ng mga OFWs, individuals at saka may mga employers din po na nagdadala ng mga donation dito. So the whole day po, nagpapacking po kami kahapon.
Remittances increased in just 2 weeks as Filipino donors, 95% of whom are domestic workers, contribute cash. Metrobank says donations have reached 1 million pesos, a hefty amount considering most of them earn an average of only 21,000 pesos a month. Even wealthy Filipino businessmen host expensive dinners and galas to fundraise for victims.
Kaya ginawa nga nitong mga Pilipino, itong mga OFW natin, kahit kami, kahit na yung Philippine Consulate, talagang on the following day, talagang may tawag agad ng meeting ng Philippine Consulate about kung ano ang maiitulong natin sa mga kababayan natin doon sa, especially sa Tacloban.
The Philippine consulate here says it's never seen anything quite like it, referring to both the typhoon and the response.
Despite the sadness, relief efforts here offer a ray of hope, a reminder that the bayanihan spirit of the Filipino is alive regardless the distance. Natasha Gutierrez, Rappler, Hong Kong.
Moving on to other news, the pensions of members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, may be in danger. The Commission on Audit, or COA, says the current assets of the AFP Retirement and Separation Benefit System, or RSBS, fall short of estimated funding requirements. The COA report shows the assets stand at only 14,339 billion pesos. It's 47.291 billion pesos short of the estimated requirements of 61.63 billion pesos. COA says this puts the payment of retirement and separation benefits to AFP members at risk. 5% of an enlisted military personnel's monthly base and longevity pay is contributed to the RSBS. It will be refunded to him upon retirement or separation, plus an interest of 6%. COA also studied the RSBS fund since its creation in 1973. Citing past actuarial valuation studies, COA says this fund was underfunded and, quote, never reached the state of self-sufficiency. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 6, Indonesia's vice president downplays suggestions of a rift with Australia because of disputes over asylum seekers and spying. Since Tony Abbott's conservative government took office in September, relations between the two countries have been strained mainly over how to deal with boat people heading for Australia through Indonesia. Relations also took a hit after claims that Canberra's overseas diplomatic posts, including in Jakarta, were involved in a U.S. spying network. At number 7, the wife of South Africa's Nelson Mandela says the anti-apartheid icon remains, quote, quite ill and is not able to speak. Winnie Madikizela Mandela says the 95-year-old is not on life support but cannot talk because of tubes inserted in his mouth to clear fluid from his lungs. Mandela was discharged on September 1 after nearly 3 months in hospital for a lung infection. And at number 9, for her humanitarian work in at least 40 missions around the world, movie star Angelina Jolie is awarded an honorary Oscar. Since 2012, Jolie traveled around the world as a special envoy for the United Nations Refugee Agency. Speaking during the award ceremony, Jolie says, "It was only when I began to travel that I understood my responsibility to others. I realized how sheltered I'd been, and I was determined never to be that way again." For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Team Pacquiao arrives in Macau Monday to prove he still has what it takes to become a world boxing champion. Manny Pacquiao will be shaking off an 11-month layoff when he faces hard-punching American Brandon Reyes Sunday at the Cotai Arena of the posh The Venetian Hotel. Pacquiao last fought in December 2012 in a heartbreaking knockout loss to Juan Manuel Marquez. It was his second consecutive loss after a controversial split decision to Timothy Bradley in June 2012. Pacquiao was supposed to arrive in Macau Tuesday, but he decided to come a day earlier. After 10 years, the musical Grease is coming back to the stage, this time in Manila. Nine Works Theatrical gives the audience a taste of America in the 50s with retro music, slick-back hairdos, and grease lightning. Jitonji reports.
I'm here for an exclusive sneak peek at the rehearsal process for Nine Works Theatrical's Grease the Musical.
John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, Grease.
Grease is a 1978 American music film made popular by John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John on the youth subculture of the working class in the 50s. Songs from the musical, like Summer Nights and Grease Lightning, are so familiar, people remember Grease more for its music than its story of teen rebellion. TV actress and host Ia Villania plays Betty Rizzo, the vixen character in Grease.
Come on, Grease! Who doesn't know Grease? I mean, for crying out loud. You know, music that everyone's just so familiar with, that music that people have grown up knowing.
Villania says the musical gives her an opportunity to portray characters who are nothing like her in real life.
It's quite fun to play. It's quite fun to be someone that you're really not.
TV actress and host Chara Soto stepped in to fill the role of Chacha de Gregorio. She learned her dance choreography in only 2 days. Soto was last seen on stage for Atlantis Productions' Full Monty earlier this year.
It's the feeling where people clap for you right there and then, so, you know, there's a sense of achievement. Yeah, I like it.
Gian Magdangal plays a title role of Danny Zuko in Grease.
It hasn't been staged for a long time here in Manila, and I'm sure the new generation now would really appreciate and be intrigued about what Grease is all about.
Nine Works Theatrical Artistic Director Robbie Guevara directs Grease. He hopes people will not only enjoy the music and dance, but also get a glimpse of that era.
There was a drastic change in lifestyle made by the youth in the 50s as a reaction from the previous lifestyles of the 40s, 30s, and 20s. Hi, I'd like to invite you to come watch Grease by Nine Works Theatrical. We'll be opening on November 9 until December 1, and we'll be showing at the RCBC Plaza. See you there.
Nostalgia, pure retro and music, that's the magic of Grease. Jitonji, Rappler, Manila.
Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and viewers the most emotionally. These 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meter. If we take a look today, you actually have, just over the weekend, this turned slightly green for a period of time, partly led by stories like this. Inside the Haiyan International Relief Base out of Cebu, you have 71% inspired and 17% happy. And Joey Ayala's version of Lupang Hinirang, our national anthem, 79% inspired. But interesting, even here you see 5% angry. That is the mood of the story that's gotten the most number of votes today. This is Paterno Esmaquel's story from Tacloban. Aquino praises Giwan executives, chides others. That is interestingly 19% happy, 15% annoyed, and 60% angry. That read, leading to the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. Well, that is Rappler's Newscast for today, Monday, November 18, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today. We leave you with this video by Patricia Evangelista on typhoon survivor Rodolfo Abuyot and his message for his sister Aiza.
Po kaming magkakapatid, siyam kami dito kasi yung isa nandun sa labas. Buhay po lahat, ma'am, sa awa ng Diyos. Gusto ko lang iparating sa aking kapatid na nasa labas na si Aiza Abuyot sa may Riyadh. Day, huwag kang mag-alala, Day, ni kumpleto kami dito. Ang problema lang sa amin dito, nawalan ng bahay. tapos pagkain. Pero huwag kang mag-alala, day. Babangon tayo, kaya yan. Okay lang kami dito, si nanay, nandito. Dito pa yung mga kapatid mo, yung mga kuya mo, nandito pa, kumpleto kami. Pasalamat kami sa Panginoon na binuhay pa kami lahat. Yun nga lang, nawalan ng bahay. Tapos yung pagkain, naghihirap din kami dito. Pero okay lang, day, huwag kang mag-alala. Okay lang kami dito, wag kang magpapikto masyado dyan.